who've been trying to fight Common Core and saturate the information stream with information about the problems that Common Core presents at our state. This, of course, against the well-funded, taxpayer-funded efforts by DPI and other lobbying organizations. Duke Pesta, kind of a one-man band on that sometimes, I think, from Freedom Project Education. He's been on the show before. Professor Duke Pesta, how are you doing?
I'm well, Vicki. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I'm looking at this profile of you in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And despite the fact it does kind of make you sound like a cool guy, part of it does actually make you sound like a super cool guy. They basically try to leave the impression that you're just all wet, that you just don't know what you're talking about with regard to Common Core specifically, and that everything you and Dr. Sandra Stotsky, Dr. James Milgram, myself, everybody who's actually looked at Common Core has been saying is just a whole bunch of malarkey.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. You're right. Actually, the reporter got a hold of me to tell you the duplicity. I should say at the outset, though, Vicki, first of all, that this is the fun part. They would not be doing this at the Journal-Sentinel, and I'm convinced the DPI put them up to it because you saw the second half of that article. But they would not be doing this if we were not making serious inroads. We were threatening them. So on one hand, it's kind of fun, right, that you're on their radar screen. That means that they wouldn't bother with you if they didn't feel they had to somehow make you more ineffective. I got to tell you, this isn't going to do that. In the day and a half since that article was produced, I've already received 12 invitations for new talks across the state. So we're going to keep going. But the thing about this reporter that's so interesting is that she hounded me for weeks about this interview. She wanted it to be a profile piece. She kept saying, well, it's not specifically about Common Core. We want to do a profile on you. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me where this was going. She actually sort of sent a veiled threat to some people at the university that she was going to do this piece no matter whether I participated or not. So, all right, I talked to her. I even let her into my classroom to observe class, and you could see that the university side of that is pretty positive. She couldn't find anything or any real conflict of interest. I do all my Common Core stuff on my own time, and it's not a university issue anyway, so that was fine. But then the second part of the article is what gets me. I spent, Ricky, literally hours talking to this woman about Common Core, sending her documentation for everything I said. She even came to a 3-hour Common Core talk that I gave in Cedarburg just last Thursday and sat there for the whole 3 hours. And I went through meticulously every single thing that this DPI hack challenges in the article. I went through meticulously and explained it to her. She didn't include one shred of that evidence. In fact, the thing that gets me, this is a profile piece on me, right? So she never lets me talk about Common Core. She never lets me, the subject of the profile piece, offer my opinions about Common Core. What she does is she has this DPI hack, John Johnson, fed softballs. She never told me she was talking to him, by the way. Nor was I ever given an opportunity to respond to his insanity. So she lets this hack from the DPI make comment after comment after comment. She lobbed him softballs, right? Fragments of things I said, things taken completely out of context, and let the DPI guy, so much so that the DPI guy had the last word in the entire article. So much for a profile piece on me.
Yeah, I agree. There's not a lot there's a lot he talked about that's quite frankly false. So the things that they pulled out, that Karen Herzog pulled out that are false, international benchmarking, zero evidence. And I just had Dr. Stotsky on last week, who was on the Common Core Verification Committee. She was on the National Verifications Committee. No international benchmarking. That means they did not go and pull international education standards and use them to design Common Core standards. Didn't happen. There is no evidence it did. So she says that there is international benchmarking when, in fact, there isn't. She claims that. Well, go ahead.
I told her that. I told her that specifically. I showed her clips of Sandy Stotsky saying that. And no mention of it whatsoever in the article. At one point, this reporter actually admitted to me that she knew very little about Common Core, and that she wasn't really all that interested in the Common Core angle because, quote, her readers aren't interested enough to bother to look into it. This is what she's telling me.
So they want to hear about you, and let's just be clear here. The reason why there's a profile piece on Duke Pesta is because Duke Pesta is the one-man band traveling around the state of Wisconsin who knows more than just about any other single person about Common Core. And she's going to say that she's going to do a profile on a guy who is kind of, you got kind of famous because of that. But we're not going to, the Common Core thing's not that interesting to my people. However, the guy talking about it's really interesting.
Yeah, so Common Core is not that interesting, although and I asked her at one point, would you be doing this interview of me if I were a liberal professor out there promoting Common Core and getting all this attention? And she said no, she would not be doing that. So there's that. But the thing that surprised me is that, no, I shouldn't say surprised me, this is the media after all. The thing that I found telling about the media is, for all that talk, the second half of the article was about Common Core. But she never allows me to make my case. She simply allows the DPI guy to respond to little fragments of things that I might have said that she or somebody else fed him. And so it's easy enough to say, and I'd like to take, if I may, Vicki, I'd like to take a second on your show and call out Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, John Johnson, education information person at the DPI. Hey, John, why don't you quit hiding behind the skirts of the DPI and come out and challenge me to a debate? Let's talk about it. You guys won't talk about it, and you certainly won't talk about it with me. If my comments are as absurd as you say they are, then you should have no problem dealing with me in a public forum. What do you say, John? Quit hiding behind the DPI, quit hiding behind the Journal Sentinel, and letting them do your hit work, and lobbing you softballs, and you come out and talk to an actual person about this. Let's see how it goes.
And I would like to see them provide their documentation about these international benchmark standards. I'd also like them to show exactly how individual people, education experts at the state level were tasked to create the standards themselves. And I would like to see all of this local input. I would like to see all this is supposedly divined and devised by the states. We can't find anybody in Wisconsin who participated in any kind of group that was part of, some sort of public process to help write the Common Core standards. Sandy Stonsky couldn't identify anybody when I asked her. Nobody can seem to find this list of all of these state of Wisconsin people who were, Leah Vukmir wasn't part of Luther Olson wasn't part of it. None of our people were part of it, and yet somehow there was all of this state input. Yet we can't find the one single body.
It is funny that with the DPI, it's clear to me now that the DPI must have in some way triggered this, because this was such a softball lobbing interview to them, right? You're profiling me to make it sound like somehow this is balanced. So you talk about I'm a good teacher, my students like me, but then you have that transition right in the middle of the article. But when it comes to Common Core, right? And then they have the audacity to say that, Dr. Pesta, at all my 86 talks in Wisconsin, I point out to my families, the moms, the dads, we had 4 politicians, including Senator Vukmir. We had 4 other politicians and school board members who came and sat at my talk just on Thursday, the one that she attended in Cedarburg. So we're educating a lot of people. Never, not once, has anybody after listening to my 3-hour talk come back and said, hey, you're lying about this or this is wrong. But some hack at the DPI who's not heard or bothered to sit through my talk gets these softball questions fed simply to provide DPI propaganda. And it's like you say, Vicki, prove it. I prove everything I say. I proved it to that reporter. She didn't include a single sentence, a single link, a single document. That's fine. This is how the Journal Sentinel works. This shouldn't surprise us. But here we are taking the time publicly to say, Mr. Johnson, you have an august title. You're the Director of Educational Information. You should know what you're talking about. Come and talk and speak with us. Let's have a debate. Let's sit down and you prove to us how I'm absurd and how this stuff I'm saying isn't true. I want to see it. Vicki's right. Stotsky couldn't find the information. Milgram couldn't find the information, and they were on the validation committee. But you must obviously have it. The other thing I spent a lot of time with this woman was Tony Evers. We spent about an hour talking about the duplicity of the DPI, how Evers didn't schedule his mandatory state hearings until December when he was supposed to do it in September, how he waited until a week before Christmas and scheduled all 3 hearings at the same hour in 3 different cities as a way to keep down participation. All of these conflicts on the part of the DPI, all the money that the DPI is getting on behalf of groups like the Gates Foundation, all of that we demonstrated, and they have nothing to say about it. So come on out, John, let's talk.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the other thing. The only news organization that I can think of that actually has done some of that lifting you are talking about is WisconsinReporter.com. Ryan Ekval and Matt Kittle have worked on that. But in terms of the mainstream media, really had nothing. I mean, I love the last couple of paragraphs here talking about one of your students who just thinks you're awesome. But it's out on the stump where the reviews of his performance are more mixed. No, people leave your talk activated. And you're right. The reason why you're being featured is because you can't sit through your presentation and not want to be activated on this issue. DPI has not gone out and sent people to whip up enthusiasm to turn over control of Wisconsin's educational process to the federal government. They don't even want public hearings on that. And when they do have public hearings, Duke, they load up all the DPI administrators ahead of time to try to make sure that the individual citizens have to wait so long they end up, peeling off and leaving. They're not the ones getting into their car and driving around the state of Wisconsin trying to educate people about this. They smugly sit in their offices in Madison and put out talking points that go totally unchallenged by the press. You, on the other hand, when people go to your talks, they leave motivated, they leave activated, and this may be ultimately Common Core's undoing.
Well, think about the last point you made. That was brilliant. That she says basically, well, his students all love him. They all think he's a fair teacher. He lets them speak their minds. But it's out on the stump that there's more mixed reviews. The irony is that anybody who's reading that article can tell nobody who's complaining about my Common Core talks ever saw one. Nobody. So who are these mixed reviews? Like you say, you got these DPI hacks sitting in their offices, evading the public and deceiving people, taking all that money, that corporate money, to do what they do. You got these DPI people doing that. And you see the duplicity of what the reporter did. I think I've spoken to about 30,000 Wisconsin moms and dads over my 86 talks. She didn't interview one of them. She had a chance at that meeting on Thursday to talk to 150 people in that room. After the talk was over, she could have sat there and interviewed any one of them just to get a perspective. She didn't interview anybody. She left as soon as the questions were done. So then she turns it over to the DPI, another guy, this Johnson, who's never heard my talk, who's just bantering words about like absurd, right, and easily provable. John, come on out and show me how.
Fear-mongering is another one. Mongering.
Yeah.
You monger. Duke Pesta, monger. Look, where are you next going to be? Because I will tell you, you will hug me if you actually go and sit through one of these presentations by Duke Pesta. You will say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I waited so long," and then you will tell your friends, and you'll hang on Duke's his suit jacket, and you'll say, "Please do another one." Where are you next going to be?
We are tonight at 7:00 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. As soon as I hang up with you, Vic, I'll send you the address so you can let people know where that is. I'll email it and you can let people know. But we're going to be tonight at 7 in La Crosse, Wisconsin, doing it again. Oh, and by the way, I am already in the process of including some new slides in my presentation. Slides of what Mr. Johnson said and how they're completely absurd and wrong. So we're going to prove to anybody who wants to keep coming out to our talks that not only is the Journal Sentinel a joke, we all knew that, but the DPI in particular, we're going to take their own words and we're going to show that we do what they won't do. We're going to prove how they're lying.
And Mr. Johnson is, of course, welcome to get in his car and drive to La Crosse and attend your talk.
I'm sure if Mr. Johnson called you, you'd be happy to put him on. I doubt he'll do it.
He can call right now.
Yeah, John,
799-1130 or 800-838-9476. I asked a DPI hack at the hearing. I said, where is the evidence that Wisconsin experts participated in the development of the standards? Wisconsin education experts participated in the development of the standards, and I got a guy who hemmed and hawed, and then essentially said, the same thing this clown says in the article, but never had any evidence. So I keep asking for the proof too, and I don't find it.
And the thing that blows me away is I spent a good hour more talking about Tony Evers and detailing for this reporter all of his duplicity and dishonesty. And not a word of it in there. Like the fact that Mr. Evers decided to attend the very first hearing in Madison of the public hearing. He was the first person out of the box in Madison. He couldn't be bothered to attend 1 second more of any of the remaining 3.5 talks.
He gave his testimony, he split. Yep. He gave his testimony and he left.
There's your commitment from the DPI to listen to other sides of this. And we're supposed to take these people seriously. And that shows you the Journal Sentinel, too. The sense that, okay, I'm going to write a profile piece on you, Dr. Pesta, not a Common Core piece. But when it comes to the Common Core, so the profile is to pretend that somehow this is a fair account of what your Common Core views are. So we write the profile on you in the first half, and then in the second half we talk all Common Core, but we don't get your we don't include your opinion on why these things that you say are true. We simply incorporate the DPI hack telling us why it's absurd without any evidence.
We do a profile, and then we find a guy who trash you. Man, I appreciate the time as always, and I got a great idea for another job for you. You ready?
All right.
Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Oh, man, you got to stop. God bless you, Senator Vukmir. Senator Vukmir said the same thing to me on Thursday, and three other politicians, too. Vicki, I believe you said to me off the air once, that job will bleed your soul dry. I mean,
I did say that to you.
And you're probably
not that I want
right
your
about
soul
it.
bled dry, man, but, thanks for the time, Duke, as always.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. Thanks for the work you do. That was Dr. Duke Pesta, Freedom Project Education, FPEUSA.org for more. I'll be right back.